Hello everyone, I just learned of a new way to use VS Code online directly from a GitHub repository, and I thought I would show you this little trick. It may save you the hassle of downloading VS Code and lets you do some editing on files in a repository easily and quickly with minimal setup. So I have a dummy repository here that I created earlier that we were testing something out. And in this repository, if you simply press the period key, it should open up the repository. Oh, I need to click on there and hit the period key. And you'll see that it's opening up a web editor. And we'll give this a minute to load up. Takes a second sometimes, or a minute or so, and we'll just let this run, and you'll see that we start getting something that looks very familiar for our class, and this is a version of VS Code that runs completely online. We'll let this keep setting itself up. Sometimes it does take a minute. Okay, I paused my recording while this finished getting set up, and you can see here is the README file, the readme.md file for this repository, and you'll notice that I have the other files that are in that repository listed here in my files in this folder. And if I go back to the original repository, and you compare this file list, it's going to match with the files showing here in this online version of VS Code. Now, this is a little bit limited in that I don't believe we have access to the terminal here, and we can't really execute code like we did with Python. But this does let you create and edit files. So if I actually hover over the name of the repository, you'll see I have the option here to create files and folders. And I'm going to go ahead and create a new file and just call this create a text file. You can create any kind of file you want to, and you'll see here is that new file, and I'm going to enter some text. Now, this is a little bit different. On our systems, we would hit Control S and save this. But you'll notice that this is working with our version control, like we've seen before, and you'll notice that now I have this version control button. So if I go to version control, and I must commit this message, so I'm going to add a commit message and click on the check mark commit button. And this will take a second. And if we go back to our text, it's there. And I'm going to go ahead and go back to my repository. Well, let's just go try and refresh this now, our view that we had before, and you'll notice that now that file shows up in my repository. So rather than being able to save with this online version, you're going to go into the version control tab and do a commit message, and you can actually navigate back to your repository from here just by going up to this little hamburger menu, and there's an option at the bottom that says go to repository. so I can navigate back to my repository. So you can go into, and I'm going to go back to the editor again. We'll see if it's any faster starting up this time by pressing the period key. And you can create files and edit the ones that are in there, much like you would in your regular desktop version of VS Code. So I thought that was a pretty handy trick for having access to VS Code. Just like we did before, obviously you can see in this repository this is a little bit slow to get started up, but it does give you an extra online option rather than just having to install VS Code on your machine. So this is pretty slow to get started, but the last thing I did want to show you on here is just like regular desktop VS Code, you can actually install extensions. And so if you click on the extensions, you can see that I have some extensions installed. I did try this out. You can't execute Python code directly in this like you can on your desktop version. There is another option, which I'll make another video